What does hands-free feel like?
Game day.
It feels like nothing can hold you back.
Come on, you got this!
Like game on. Like going a little further. Like freedom in every step. Like spreading a little joy. And you have to step in to believe it. Step in. Feel the difference. Kizik.
All right, so here we are at the beginning of our new series, LaabCuts, where again, the goal is to kind of have this director's commentary to break down the commercial that you just watched. Now that commercial, we already have a whole behind the scenes episode. It's like 30 something minutes long, kind of breaking down our experiences on set. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. But to break this down a little bit further, this Athens project was a really fun one for me personally. I feel like this was kind of a moment where I got to step into myself as a director and the way that I need to be working with creative directors, from whether it's the agency that we're partnering with or the brand that we're working with. In this case, I got to work with my friend Chris, he's the creative director over at Kizik, and he's an incredible collaborator. There were many times throughout this process that he challenged me, asking me questions like, how is this going to play into the story? How does this flow from one scene to the next? How are we really driving this point home, right? And so as he asked me those questions and challenged me in those ways, I was able to really think about, yeah, you're right. How is this going to work? And there was a whole new element to this piece that you guys probably don't know, but this whole track was custom. So we actually had a reference track in the editing bay that we pulled to get the right BPM, the beats per minute, to make sure the pacing and the timing was right. And we made the edit to that. But then afterwards, we needed to send it off to a music composer. His name was Kale. He was great to work with, very talented. And he went in and then created multiple different versions that myself and the creative director, Chris, were able to kind of narrow in on. And as we gave feedback, as we made sure it was the right tone and the feeling that we wanted, we were able to get closer and closer to this end product. What was interesting about this piece is because Kizik is such a large company, there was a lot of different individuals who needed to be able to have buy-in, to feel like they were accomplishing the goals that were important to them. And so figuring out the right times to stay true to the vision that Chris and I had kind of landed on together, while also making some concessions to make sure that it was doing what the brand needed it to do for launch. That was obviously, it just took time and took time to refine. Overall, it was a really, really cool process. But I'd say the main thing that I learned from this production was how important it is to spend time in the pre-production process, thinking through everything that can go wrong, making sure that you have enough time padded in the schedule, that you have room for mistakes to be made, or room for if, a camera gets left behind or a talent is running late. And I don't think we gave ourselves enough of an opportunity in the pre-production phase to account for mistakes or setbacks that might naturally happen on set. And one of the big things that we had forgotten about was the fact that there's daylight savings. Yet we planned the shoot to go till like 8 p.m. Might have worked in Utah time during the fall, but it definitely would not work during the fall in California on daylight savings. So that is just some of the finer details that I needed to learn to look at with my producer. As a director, I need to start asking those questions and being involved in the process even more thoroughly than I was. Because I realized that as the director, I am considered the guardian of the story. And if I'm not asking those questions and I'm not taking the time to understand what's the story we're trying to tell and what are the elements that are important to be put into the proper place for that story to be told, and if I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing my job. Those were some of the lessons that I learned, but the experience overall was amazing. I'm really proud of how this project came together and just so pumped for the entire team, for the sacrifices they made. It was such an intensive project. We were actually shooting 2 campaigns, Athens and Canvas, at the same time over 4 days. And if I could go back, I would not do that again. That is a lesson learned from me, to be able to focus solely on one project, on one story at a time, and then move on to the next. I would have rather shot this over, probably 3 or 4 days, just this project in and of itself. Lessons learned. It was an incredible experience. So shout out to Chris, shout out to the entire Kizik team. You guys are awesome to work with. We're so grateful for our partnerships. And just in general, guys, like those are some of the lessons that I've learned. But I would love to hear some of the insights you have when you look at the edit. What are things that you have questions about, maybe ideas that you had for how we could have made it better? Always open to feedback and looking to learn more. Appreciate you guys. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.